Hello, dear friends. Let us today learn the lesson Too Dear by Leo Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy, we have known him very well as a Russian writer from the year 1828. Between 1828 and 1910 is his date. Leo Tolstoy was known for all kind of writings, especially the spiritual ones. His main intention in writing was to bring out the sarcasm, bring out the humor that prevails in the judiciary system, the government, the rules and regulations made by the government. Its inefficiency to follow all these things is very clearly brought out in his stories. Leo Tolstoy also talks about the loopholes, the negative qualities that are present in the government and its judiciary system. Too Dear is one lesson which tells us with lot of humor how the government is not able to stick on to one particular punishment that was given to a person. Let us understand what this dear in this title means. The word dear with an exclamation here, that itself indicates that it is very expensive. Dear, the word dear, it does not mean that it is something very close to heart. Dear has another meaning, and that meaning we are considering here. That means it is too expensive or very costly. The punishment that was given for this criminal was it was very expensive one. It proved out to be very costly for the government of Monaco. That is what we are going to understand, and we understand it in this sense of dear. The story begins with the narrator, with the author giving us all kinds of description about the small tiny kingdom, small tiny country called Monaco. It is still existing in Europe, in between France and Italy. It is a very small country of total area of around 2 kilometers. That's it, 2 square kilometers is its stretch, and the population is just 37,000 people, not more than that. 37,000 people and a 2 square kilometer small country, and this is known as the second smallest country in the whole world after Vatican City. Vatican City is the first smallest country and Monaco is the second smallest country. When the author writes, he imagines probably there was one king who was called as the kinglet, a tiny king or the king of a very small country. That is why he is called as a kinglet, and he rules this small kingdom. Therefore, it is mentioned as toy kingdom. A toy kingdom, and there is a small kinglet. You can imagine the place, the palace itself would be very small. The country itself is around 2 kilometers, 2 square kilometers, but still the king had his luxurious life. He had all kinds of customs and traditions and all kinds of royal privilege to himself. Royal privilege, he had the ministers, the bishops, the jury, the generals, the courtiers, and everything equal to that of a great king. Though he was supposed to rule a very small kingdom, he never left out the luxurious life. And therefore, it is mentioned that he did everything in great style, in great demand, and in great luxury. He had ministers, bishops, and the work of these people was to treat him as usual, as normal, as a very rich and a royal king. These people would go to him every morning, show his face. He also had the celebrations and all those things just like that of a real and a normal king. This country with a small population of around 37,000 people has to get some revenue somewhere. The only income that a government, that a country could get is only from the taxes that the citizens pay. Our country also gets the revenue only by the taxes that we pay. Either it could be the sales tax or the custom tax or the road tax or whatever it is, the VAT, weight and all those things that we give to the government. That itself is the source of income for the government. So here also this king had to get some income. It's a small country, people are very poor, people don't have any kind of work, but still they had to pay. The only source of income and the only place where the king would levy heavy taxes was in liquor and spirits. So it was the drink or the wine and whiskey and the hot drinks, and also through spirits. This king would get lot of income. So the people stopped drinking. People stopped smoking. So that was the only way he could get the source of income, through smoking, through the cigarettes and through the spirits. Spirit is nothing but the wine or the whiskey that they drink, the hot drinks. So he could get that. Not many of them were drunkards or not many of them would smoke. So the revenue again it decreased. The king started thinking about different methods of getting revenue. Then there started the roulette or the gaming houses. Gaming houses throughout the Europe, it is banned. It is completely prohibited. Nowhere in Germany you can see the gaming houses, and nowhere in Switzerland, nowhere in any other country, Italy, France, everywhere, these gaming houses have been prohibited. They have been banned completely, except in this country, Monaco. Even today, Monaco is one of the second largest gaming houses. Do you know which is the first one? Do you know which is the place where they have lot of gaming centers, where they have this gambling? It is in Texas. It is in that place where they have lot of gaming houses that is done. So they have lot of color and all those things. They have lot of income over there. So roulette was one of the most important, or this gambling on the gaming houses was important income for the country here. So apart from spirits, cigarettes and all those things, he started getting more money from the roulette houses or the gambling centers. The gambling centers, the people who would run them, they had to pay half of their benefit to the king as a profit, as the tax. That was the income. So whatever the income that the gaming house person would get, half of it he would give it off to the king here, and that was a very generous, that was a huge source of income for this king. It so happens, the life goes on like this. He's getting lot of income, and through this income, he is maintaining his own standard and dignified life. He is maintaining the ministers, the bishops, the jury and all those things. They have to get a salary also. He also, he also had an army of around 60 men. Okay, 60 men were in his army, and they were also fed very well. Everything went on fine. The king also was leading a very luxurious life with all the money that he would get. It so happens, life is moving on happily. Once in a gaming house, there is a murder. And the murderer, probably in the heated argument that he has lost the money or something like that, he has lost his senses to temper. He has become very angry, and therefore he has killed a person. And this was a murder that had occurred. Usually it is said in the lesson by Tolstoy that the kingdom, the people of Monaco, they are peaceable, they are peace-loving and lovable people. They are very calm, quiet to themselves. They don't go to these fights, arguments, nothing like that. But when a murder occurs, everybody is surprised. More than the citizens, the king is surprised because he doesn't know how to handle this case. So he calls upon his jurymen. The jury here, it consisted of the advocates, the barristers, the judges, and all possible lawmen. All of them were summoned. They were called upon. They all had a meeting. They wanted to discuss how to solve this case or what punishment to be given to this murderer. So they all sit, they have a nice, good meeting, and then they think about only one thing, because it was like almost, life to life. You have taken somebody's life, so you have to give up your life. You have to be killed. So they all decide upon this, and then the jury, the ministers and all, they decide on beheading or killing, also called as the life imprisonment. It is called as the sentencing of the death. Death sentence is given to this person. Death sentence means killing a person live, either by hanging or beheading him. Beheading could be done. So they all decide upon this. But the funniest part is, before they decide, they should have thought whether they have the facility to behead the person. They did not have any facility. That was the hitch in the government. That was a main problem in the government. And this hitch or the problem was that the kingdom did not have anything, any possible facility for death sentence. The Monaco kinglet, he wanted a guillotine to put the murderer into death sentence. Guillotine is an instrument like this, wherein the person, the guilty person or the murderer or the person who is, he is called as the person who is convicted to some kind of crime, that person is made to lie down and his head is kept on a place, on a paddle, and then there is a sharp blade here, and then that blade is just thrown. The man or the culprit, he is beheaded live. Tale kaddu saisuvantadu. Talena kochi saisuvantadu. That is the work of this guillotine. So this guillotine was very, very essential. Let us remember, in those days, there was no hanging to death. The only death sentence that was given was by beheading, and therefore this man also wanted the guillotine. He did not have that guillotine. A small kingdom, small number of people, lovable people, peaceable people, they did not commit any kind of mistake at all. So they never thought that they should have a guillotine machine. The income also is very less. So all of a sudden there is a situation when there is a crime done. The jurymen, they all form a committee, subcommittee, and then they discuss upon this, and they think that beheading this person is a right option. But the hitch, as I had told you, the only hitch was this: they did not have the guillotine machine. So finally they all again decide. The king also decides, and they think of another option. They can go to the neighboring country, that is the French government, and request them to send or to give, only for hiring, the guillotine machine. Along with the guillotine machine, there should be an expert who is very well versed in beheading the person. Normal people like you and me cannot do the slaughtering, cannot do the beheading. It has to be an expert, and therefore this man who handles the guillotine machine is called an executioner. This executioner also was very essential. So they wanted the French government to give them a guillotine machine plus the executioner, who would be doing the job in a very neat and good fashion. The French government, they accept this, but the rent that they offer, the money that they demand is 16,000 francs. And this one was a too huge amount. Imagine a very small country with very few population and absolutely no income at all. And these people, they have to only for one guillotine machine, and only it is one time use. After that, they have to give it back, the guillotine machine. They have to send back the executioner. For this, they are paying 16,000 francs. The kinglet, he sits and thinks. If he says yes, again this money, 16,000 francs, he has to again burden his people with lot more of tax. That means at least 2 francs more per head. he will understand that the people will not pardon him for that. They'll not forgive him if they again ask more money. So he says, no, 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 let us not have this from the French government. Let us ask another neighboring country, that is the Italian government. He also has an opinion that the Italy government is another monarch country. Remember, dear students, there are a lot of ways of having a government. It is the monarchy, it is a republican, it is a democratic, it is a kind of, consumerist country. This one was a monarch wherein there is a single ruler, just like the one in 2D lesson in in Monaco. So this one also was a brother monarch. They thought, okay, this fellow can understand. He will understand what our problem is. He is also of the same category. So he can let us the money and he can give us the guillotine for a lesser money. They approach him. This fellow also, this king also is no less. He demands 12,000 francs. Just 4,000 francs less. But again, for the tiny kingdom and this kinglet, 12,000 francs is too much. They again have a commission, they have a meeting, they all decide, they don't know what to do. The king is bothered, again 12,000 francs is too much. So they all decide upon some other method of punishing the culprit. They think that let us not waste this money on a small person like the murderer. That fellow is not worth all this expenditure. So we will be shifting off his punishment itself from death sentence to lifetime imprisonment or imprisonment of life. That means a person here, he will not be beheaded, he will not be killed, but he will be thrown into the cell, thrown into the prison throughout his life. So he has to spend the whole of his life in a prison. That is imprisonment of life. So they change this. And the committee, the ministers, the jury, they all sit, they have a commission, they have a committee, they have a subcommittee, think about all these things. They decide upon changing from death sentence to imprisonment of life. They go and tell the kinglet. Kinglet also feels that this is okay. This is still more better than spending 12,000 francs. He agrees. He says, yes, okay, fine. You go ahead with the same kind of punishment. But again, the problem arises. Monaco is a very small country. They don't have huge prisons at all. There was only one prison, one cell, one lockup, but that was also for a temporary basis. They never had a prison which could accommodate, which could hold a prisoner who was sentenced to imprisonment of life. So imprisonment of life, it requires a lot of facilities. The person has to spend his whole life. So he needs an area to walk around, to read something. All those facilities also have to be given to these people. But anyway, there was nothing. So they just had a small lockup room. They had just had a small cell. They finally put this man into this lockup. But this lockup or the cell, there was a guard necessary for him to look after this man so that he does not run away. This went on for around 1 month. 1 month, he was put up in a lockup which had a guard, and this guard's only work was to sit and watch that man, nothing else to do. Food had to be given free of cost for 2 people, one the prisoner, then the guard. Both of them had to be fed, they had to be taken care of. All this went on for 1 month. After 1 month, the king got he was just looking into his debit and credit sheet. He was just looking at his expenditure list. Suddenly he understands that there is 6,000 francs increase in the expenditure. He questions his ministers. The ministers also come and with lot of humble humility, they tell him that this 6,000 plus francs is only because of the guard, the cell and the prisoner. Because of all of them, they have increased their expenditure by 600 francs. The king is worried. He says, no, my country is very poor. My country's only income is the rowlet. I can't levy heavier taxes on my people. So do something so that this fellow will not be enjoying this kind of luxurious life. Again, the people, the ministers, the committee, the bishops and all, they have a committee, they have a subcommittee, they come, they decide, they think and all those things. Again, they decide upon another kind of changing the punishment. They do not have anything else to change from death sentence to lifetime imprisonment. But now they think, no, we'll have to do one thing. We will let this fellow free. Let us leave him free. We will take away the guard from this. We will see that the prisoner is kept alone in the cell, with not much of security. In case he wants to run away, let him run away. That will be, big expenses cut short. We don't have to pay so much. And then they take away this guard. This guard is removed from the cell and he's not there at all now. And the prisoner is there. Prisoner, he'll wait. One day he wakes up, he finds that there is no guard at all to see him, to control him, to overlook him. He's hungry. He wants food. He waits for the guard. Nobody comes. Nobody gives him food. He just looks at him, feels the lockup latch. He sees that there is no lock also. What he does is just opens it, puts his hand outside, locks, removes the lockup latch, opens the cell. He quietly, without any mess, he goes into the royal kitchen, that is the palace kitchen. That is where, that's the place from where these two would get their food, the prisoner and the guard. So he himself, he walks to the royal kitchen, he gets his food, brings back to the cellar, happily sits there, locks himself up and eats his food and sleeps. The people are worried. They thought this man will run away because there is nobody at all to look him after. They thought this fellow would elope, he would go away. But the case went the other way. Again, the next day also they waited, they wanted to see what this prisoner would do. Again, the next day also the same thing was repeated. He went out to the royal kitchen, he brought his food, locked himself very quietly, very neatly, like a very humble student. He just locks him up, sits there, has his food and then sleeps off. He did not even show a single sign of escaping. That was the more concern, that was the worry for everybody in this committee. They thought this man will run away. He doesn't go at all. So they come and ask him, my dear brother, why don't you run away? We are letting you free. The king will not mind if you run away from here. Why don't you go away? Then this fellow says, no, why should I run? Why should I run? You tell me. And where should I run to? It's almost a year that I'm staying with you people. And where should I run now? I don't have any place to go. I can't go anywhere at all. See, he gives out his point. He says there are 3 reasons why I shouldn't be going out. One thing is you have spoiled my name. My reputation is gone. Now what will people think when I go out? They will always call me as a prisoner. They will talk behind my back. They will not give me any kind of job. I'll have lost respect in the society. One thing. Second thing is, who will trust me? Who will trust me and give me a job? Because I'm already been branded, labeled as a prisoner, as a murderer. So I'll get no job at all. Third thing, 1 year and even my family will not accept me at all. I have no place to go, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm very happy here. And he also questions the ministers. He says, who asked you to change my death sentence to imprisonment of life? Did you ask me? You never asked me when you had to change. Now because you feel that this 600 francs is an expense for you, you're asking me to run away. So I don't want to go anywhere. You do whatever you want, but I'm going to stay here in this kingdom. I'm happy here. I'll stay in the prison itself. I'm not going to go. He's a very adamant prisoner. Again, the people in the committee, they come, they summon, they all meet, they have a gathering, they form a subcommittee, they all decide they don't know what to do. They go tell the king that this fellow is not ready to go run away at all. So what are we going to do next? The king, he decides. He says, okay, we'll do one thing. The only way, we've done a lot of mistake. Putting him to death sentence, changing it to imprisonment of life and putting him in a small cell, spending so much of money. We have been doing a lot of mistakes in our life. We'll do one thing. We will give him a kind of pension of 600 francs per year, and then we will let him free. So this is what Leo Tolstoy wants to say. This is the funniest part. This is the loophole that he finds in the judicial system. If you are not capable of it, you shouldn't be giving that kind of punishment at all. So he says, okay, we will just give him off 600 francs and then we will let that person go free. We will free him off. What else the prisoner wanted? He was very happy. He says, yes, in that case, I am going. So he gets an annuity or a pension of 600 francs. Annuity is given to him. Annuity is some amount that is given per annum, per 1 year. So 600 francs per year, he is getting it. And then he says he is happy with it. A part of annuity he gets, say around 200 francs he gets immediately, and then he leaves off. He is supposed to leave off Monaco and go. This fellow is very crooked and very smart. In fact, he doesn't go far away from Monaco. He just crosses. Monaco is a very small, as I've told you, it's just 2 square kilometers. It's a very small and tiny place. He just crosses the border of Monaco. Immediately next to the border, he purchases a land. He does that farm gardening. He does the kind of market gardening wherein he can sell, cash crops are grown. He just does the market gardening. He stays there happily. And immediately, every month, every year, he comes here and then collects his annuity, plays roulette. He is now a very rich man, in fact. When compared to the all other population, people of Monaco, he is very rich. He takes his annuity, goes to the roulette, goes there, plays gambling, spends some time, spends money at his own will. He's very happy doing all these things, and then he comes back to his village with lot of money. Who else could get this chance, could get this benefit of spending money in the same country and getting back double or triple that, because as annuity? And this fellow, he lives very happily. So this is the summary of the lesson Too Dear by Leo Tolstoy. Again, once we look at the whole lesson, we understand the loopholes of the judicial system. Judicial system has to be very strong. If it is not strong, people who are real culprits, they just happily wander here and there, and people who are innocent, they will be punished. So Leo Tolstoy tries to tell us that judiciary system has to be a very strong system in controlling the people.